Hey guys, this is Heather and this is Fierce Fit Keto. This is my channel about my lofty goal to lose a huge 50 pounds in 12 months using a ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. Today's episode is going to be part one of the basics of keto. What is keto? I am going to share a little bit of science, but for the most part, it's going to be laid out pretty straight. If you want to learn more about keto, just keep watching. All right, thanks for sticking around. So first and foremost, I do need to disclose that I am not a medical professional. Everything that I know about the ketogenic diet, I researched on my own from some real heavyweight scientists and authors and bloggers out there who have also done extensive research. We're talking double-blind scientific studies where nothing was left unturned. So if you have questions about the ketogenic diet, you should do your own research. This conversation is about what I know, and I always recommend that you do your own research too. And just like with starting any other diet or exercise program, consult your doctor before you did that. I did it and got support, and you should do that too. First and foremost, I mentioned some doctors and professionals who I respect their work, and as a part of my law of attraction goal to always be positive and give thanks to those who have helped me, I'm going to name a couple of those. And because of the topics today, I do have a cheat sheet, so if it looks like I'm checking my notes, it's really because I am. I do want to make sure that I provide you the best detail. So first and foremost, Jimmy Moore, thank you so much. You've gone off the rails a little bit recently, and I do want to give you that feedback, but your books like Keto Clarity, Cholesterol Clarity, and Fasting Clarity have been on my shelf for years, and I appreciate everything that you've done. Jason Wittrock is a blogger and author, and he's all over on YouTube and Instagram. He is a 100% natural bodybuilder. He's gorgeous. He's a family man. He does everything that he does. Huge inspiration, provides great detail. Same thing with Thomas DeLauer. Was a former fat guy and got really into the ketogenic diet and lifestyle and fitness. Also a major babe. Also was a banking guy, similar to myself, and got into fitness. So just a wonderful resource, especially if you're looking into intermittent fasting. Nora Gedgaudas, she is also a blogger, a writer, an author, and a major force. And she provided a lot of great detail when I was going through PCOS. So check out Nora Gedgaudas. Dr. Jason Fung, he is an author, and he also has a website. He is a huge influence on just allowing me to recognize my sugar addiction. I'll link his book below so that you can check that out. Dr. Jason Fung is amazing. The Case Against Sugar, his book, I have got that book on tape. I have driven twice from Colorado to Wisconsin, and I listened to it both times. Awesome book.
Editor Heather here. Minor correction to what my friend just said. The Case Against Sugar was in fact written by Gary Taubes, who is also an amazing health documentarian and author, and he is also one of her mentors that she failed to mention in the beginning of the video. Gary Taubes also wrote books like Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It, and Good Calories, Bad Calories. Both are fantastic books, and I assure you she will link those in the comments below. The book that she is referring to that she listened to on her travels was The Obesity Code, which is also a fantastic book, and I suggest you listen to it or read it at your leisure. Will also be linked below. Carry on.
Professor Tim Knox, who a couple of years ago had to stand up for himself in court he lives in, I want to say, New South Wales. Oh no, he's a South African actually, but he had to defend himself to a panel of doctor experts for advice he had given a mother about taking fat out of a child's diet, and won. And it was a huge huge victory for the keto community. So Dr. Tim Knox, if you can ever find anything from him, he's a wonderful educator and just a beautiful soul. And last but not least, Maria Emmerich, a fellow Wisconsinite. Go Pack. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you, Maria. Keto Adapted is a book that I not only have read multiple times myself, but I've given out as gifts. She's a Wisconsin native. She's just a beautiful person, a beautiful soul. She also is a keto mother. She feeds her 2 children a ketogenic diet, and they're just awesome people. So those resources, before you begin any ketogenic diet, definitely check out any of the authors, bloggers, writers, educators that I've just mentioned and will list below, because they'll be awesome resources for you too. So let's get to it, huh? So keto, first and foremost, the ketogenic diet, it's not a fad. It's not some new crazy thing that was just thought up. It's absolutely not. The ketogenic diet, it also will not hurt you. It's a very natural state that your body goes in order to use a separate fuel source, and that's it. One of the reasons that so many people think that the ketogenic diet is a fad diet, it's because there's so many products out there. Is that the right word? Ketones, ketone bodies that you take in a pill, shakes and products marketed towards keto, and you don't need any of that. The fact is there's very little money in keto, because a ketogenic diet really is eating meat and vegetables and fat. That's it. You don't need any special tools. You don't have to have any scales. You don't have to have, the ketone monitoring systems. You don't have to do any of that. Some of those things are extra, and I recommend it. I definitely recommend that you test your ketones to make sure that you're in ketosis, before you move forward, just to make sure you're doing it right, because your body is individual, it is a little bit more complicated than eating just meat and vegetables, and I'll get into that. Let's get a little bit more specific. A ketogenic diet is a low-carb, high-fat, moderate protein diet. And it's geared towards changing the fuel source that your body uses to run its natural processes. That's it. Really, there's benefits to the ketogenic diet, and I'll go over that in a few minutes. And a little bit more about the science. There are exactly 2 fuel sources that your body can use to do its daily operations. Glucose, which is sugar, and glucose comes from any carbohydrate. That includes broccoli, green peppers, fruit, vegetables. Some meats have carbs. Shrimp has carbohydrates in it. So really, any source of carbohydrates. Table sugar, sweeteners, soda pop, anything like that. If it's not a fat or a protein, it is a carbohydrate. And there is no gray, really. And then ketones. Ketone bodies, and this is where I'm going to look at my notes, because I want to make sure I get the science right for you. Ketones are the byproducts of burning fat. I'll abbreviate that by saying that you're burning your body's own fat or your ingested fat for fuel. And we'll talk a lot more about that when we get into talking about macros. To get into a ketogenic state or burning ketones for your fuel source, you must restrict any and all carbohydrates. There is a generality that many people will use, saying that it's generally less than 20 grams of net carbohydrates. We're not individual. I mean, we are individual people. So sometimes, you might need to get lower. You might be able to tolerate a higher level of carbohydrates if, for example, you're a hardcore athlete or something like that. But generally speaking, you want to keep it 20 grams or less. So once your body runs out of the sugar that it burns through, so your body has the capability of holding about 40 grams of carbohydrates, sugar, in your bloodstream at any given time. And then your liver has about another 10 to 15 grams of sugar in the liver as well. So, and that the liver sugar is readily available, and that's called glycogen. And then the sugar in your blood supply is sugar that's awaiting the entry into the liver to burn, and it has to go in that order. So, for example, let's just for the ease of that, let's just say you're starting to eat your less than 20 grams of carbohydrates a day on the beginning of your ketogenic diet. Your body will burn through the 15 throughout that first day, and then maybe start to burn through that next 40 the next day, and then the following day you should be pretty clear of your sugar. That's why it's so important to keep that down, because they have to be burned in order. It has to go through your digestive system, where it goes into your bloodstream first, and then it goes to your liver next to become readily available, and you have to go through that in order. And at that point, you'll start to get what is commonly known as the keto flu. The keto flu is that point or points. It's 3 to 4 days for most people. It'll be faster if you intermittent fast, where your body doesn't have a fuel source. It doesn't have anything at all, so it starts to freak out. It starts to, you feel really tired. You don't have energy because you're not burning sugar. So if you ever wonder, why you get that sugar crash, that's what it feels like, a sugar crash. Headache, muscle aches, just tiredness, fatigue, just I get in a bad mood. And it's short-lived, because you have to allow your body to move through that. So at that point, you think you want to start eating carbs to cure it. You actually want to drop it. You want to force the issue and allow your body to go ahead and start burning its ketones. And that usually takes 2 to 4 days, depending on your biology. Less time if you're doing a little intermittent fasting, like a 36-hour fast here and there. That'll be easier for you. There are two kinds of ketones, and they both come from the same ketone body. Acetoacetate is the main ketone that your body produces, and it's broken down into acetone. That's what comes out of your breath when you start ketosis. You can really taste it. It tastes like a metallic nail polish remover taste, and then that's also flushed out into your urine as well. When if you use a ketone test strip and you piddle on it and it turns a color, that is the ketone body it's testing. E is acetone, and then the primary ketone that you want is beta hydroxybutyrate. We abbreviated that as BHB, and that's the jet fuel. Beta hydroxybutyrate is the good stuff that you want. So once you kind of burn through that acetone, takes a couple, 2-3 days to do that, then you're going to start burning the beta hydroxybutyrate. That is the byproduct of you burning your own fat for fuel by cutting carbohydrates. That's what you want. About 70% of your available ketones will be beta hydroxybutyrate, and the rest will be the acetone. I do want to mention really quickly, a lot of people use the ketone strips. I recommend the Rely On brand. I'll insert, actually, now that I think about it, I'm going to do a test for you, and I'm going to insert it right after this. I'm going to compare the Slim Fast ketone strips that they sell at Walmart versus the Rely On strips that they also sell at Walmart. They are two completely different things, and one of them is much better than the other one, so that you can see what that looks like. But I do want to speak to that, because ketone strips are a very cheap form of testing for ketones in your urine. It's also extremely unreliable. What's going to happen is right away, especially when you start that intermittent fasting and you really get into ketosis, you're going to feel like you're doing great, like you're rocking the world, and then all of a sudden it'll stop showing up on your testing strips. And you need to understand right now that if you use that as your form of testing, it's going to be short-lived or it's going to be sporadic, because the acetone is a very short-lived ketone. You don't have a lot of it and it can fluctuate a lot. So what that could do is it might make you think that you're not doing it right. If you really want to test your blood, if you really want to test for ketones, you need to do it on a blood meter. I use the Novamax. The strips are really expensive. They're like $2 a piece. I know a lot of people use the Keto Mojo, which means that I think they've guaranteed that strips are going to be no more than 99 cents a piece. I think you could get a whole set for like $90 or something like that. I probably will update it because I do like testing, just to make I guess it's a surety thing for myself. But you could also, I mean, you know if you're in ketosis, because when you are doing your intermittent fasting and everything, your hunger depletes, you don't feel bloated, you don't feel puffy, and you can taste it. I can taste it, and my skin has gotten really clear. I've got a couple little breakouts because of my my cycle, but nothing crazy. So just a quick little tip there on testing, if you plan on doing it. All right, you guys, here's my little experiment. This is just something I found from experience. These are both ketone strips that you can purchase from Walmart. This is the Rely On brand. They're both less than $7 for a container. And sorry for the pee, but I'm not ashamed of some TMI. But yeah, so I did pee in a bowl for you guys. So the important thing here to realize is that these Slim Fast ketone strips are absolute garbage. Not only do they take forever, they're not nearly as reactive. So you saw me take them out of the bottle. All right, so if you've ever tested ketones, this is what it looks like. So I just dipped them right in my pee there. And now I'm going to set it. So you can see one is reacting and one is not. Now, I'm going to time lapse through this. Let me get rid of my pee here. So this one says you need to allow 45 seconds. 45 seconds starting now. And time. So now the repercussions of this are both of these have a little map on the side to tell you what degree you're spilling ketones, specifically acetone, into your blood. So if I hold this one up, which obviously I'm in ketosis, I've known that I've been in ketosis, that is, oops, let me get in there, that is a large amount of ketones. Same P, folks. This is over a minute now at this point. This says I'm not even anywhere near. Yeah, Slim Fast. Major fail. Major fail on the Slim Fast ketone strips. Use the Rely On. If you're going to test, and just because I love you guys so much, I'm going to do it again so you can see it again. It's that bad. It's not even close, folks. Just, yeah. So anyway, if you're going to test, use the Rely On. Use them for a couple of weeks, and then invest in a good quality ketone meter like a Keto Mojo or a Novamax, and or just don't test. But see, yeah, you can see that top one. It never even did register. So anyway, back to Heather. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this video, and there's lots of videos out there about what is keto, but I wanted to hear this coming from me. A lot of my friends and family aren't supportive of the ketogenic diet for some reason, and I feel the need to apologize for it. And I feel like, there's such a stigma about it that people think it's risky for some reason, and it's not, especially talking about ketogenic diet in addition to something like intermittent fasting. So I've heard things like, when you go off keto, you're just going to gain all that weight back. And so the one thing that I've I've in the past I've had a hard time saying out loud is something like, you mean I lose weight on this diet, but you're going to blame this diet if I stop using it, that this diet is going to cause me to lose weight? Or wouldn't it be better to say, you should stick to the ketogenic diet and not go back to the standard American diet, which is in fact what makes you fat. The standard American diet makes you fat. Telling people to eat your diet of 65% carbohydrates, and let's zoom in here a little bit, people, is killing people. You need to flip that food pyramid upside down and do it that way. Stopping a ketogenic diet will make you gain weight only if you go back to the standard American diet. And so everything else after that, the rest is just science. If you think about it, our indigenous people were made to eat a ketogenic diet because in North America, especially, as well as in Europe, where a lot of us come from, I'm about 70% Scottish. My ancestors came from Scotland, where it's, let's just say 50-50, nice, reasonable weather and winter. So a ketogenic diet, or the ability to take hunks of fat and store it and then eat that and then not eat for days on end, that is a natural biological function. And I am so proud of the human body for having the capability of doing that. It's awesome, and it's an awesome thing. And then during the rest of the year, that's when we fatten ourselves up, or we did. That's the way we were made, is, as soon as it gets nice out and we can forage for, legumes and potatoes and berries and things like that, those are the things that fattened us back up. And then eating the fat is what brought us back down to lean. So understanding that, wow, we really weren't made to eat bread and pasta. Our bodies have no idea what to do with that other than to burn that sugar and then cause things like insulin insensitivity, where your body doesn't know what to do with all of this, and it makes us fat and diabetic is what it does. When your insulin doesn't know how to control your sugar levels anymore, that's where diabetes comes from. This diet is the way that I am so sensitive to making blanket statements like this, but I'm going to do it anyway. The vast majority of human beings would be well and thoroughly served to never eat a carbohydrate again. Certainly nothing that's not like a green leafy vegetable. No, I just really don't believe that we were made to eat potatoes and starch and things like that. Even if you think about corn, corn, it's a grass. Our people didn't eat grass. Our animals ate grass. When you think about it, we don't have the gut for that. Cows have, what, 3 stomachs or 4 stomachs to digest their cud and all of that grass and what have you. That's what corn and wheat and all of that is grass, and we just weren't made to eat that way. And oh, I don't even want to get into how much grain and wheat has changed over the years. Corn did not look like that 10,000 years ago. It was like a nut, and it had a hard shell on it. The introduction of dent corn back in, I can't even remember what year it was. Actually, it changed the human race, and I think for the poor. I just don't feel like that's anything that we should be eating. It's just bad for you. All right, so I've talked all about how in the past our ancestors really preferred the fatty meat sources. So, when we would take down a bison or a water buffalo in the past, our ancestors would save those fatty pieces, and then they'd make jerky out of the protein pieces so that it would last longer. But the coveted parts was the fat and the organs, the liver, the brains, the eyes, the bone marrow. Everything got utilized. They were making bone broth. back before bone broth was the cool thing to do, you guys. So that's why, you want to think about it in our ancestral terms. And if you ever wanted to know about the paleo diet, that's it, folks. Paleo is very similar to keto in that it's all about whole foods, nothing processed. If we didn't eat it, raise it, grow it, and butcher it ourselves 10,000 years ago, we don't eat it now. So paleo is really no dairy. Isn't it weird that humans are the only mammals that drink and consume another mammal's milk? That's really weird. I love dairy. I eat it all the time. I do have some digestive trouble with it occasionally, so I do try to limit it. I make a bulletproof chai tea when I'm breaking my fast, and I'll use some almond milk and I'll put a couple of tablespoons of heavy cream in it. But a lot of people, if you're having trouble, especially with your skin, cut dairy, folks. We were not made to consume that kind of stuff. So yeah, eggs, the same. Our human ancestors ate a lot of eggs, but they were bird eggs. Quail, duck, chickens have been really modified genetically over time. They're not the same as what they used to be. So if you're going to eat eggs, eggs are a wonderful source of fat and protein. And the nice thing is they're about 50-50 fat and protein. So you know what you're getting. Roughly 6 grams of fat per egg, roughly 6 grams of protein per egg. And they're just wonderful for you. But I would stress, if you're going to buy anything organic, free range, cage free, it's eggs. You don't want chickens that are eating grain, the stuff that we're trying to cut out, because it makes their eggs really brittle and it doesn't provide you the benefits at all. So you want the eggs that are out in the field. You want the chickens laying eggs after they've been eating bugs and dandelions and things like that. Not only are they way better for you, they're way tastier. So just a piece there. So we talked about tubers. We talked about why our people used carbohydrates that the rest of that year, when there was some, to fatten themselves up for the famine that was going to come over the winter, and then they'd catch and they'd store and they'd bone broth and they'd gelatinize everything, and they went nose to tail. They ate everything. They used the skin and nothing went to waste. I want you to think about how you might be able to implement maybe some of that into your diet. Making bone broth, which is super easy, especially if you have an Instant Pot. I think it's like 8 hours in the Instant Pot with a little apple cider vinegar and some, I don't have a recipe for it. I just kind of always winged it, but maybe I'll put a recipe in the box below on a quick bone broth recipe. So a little bit about macros. So the ketogenic diet for most people will break down to be 75% fat, 20% protein, and 5% carbohydrates. For me, I back into it by getting my carbohydrates set at about 20. And then I back into the fat protein by my lean body mass, and I have a scale for that tells me what my muscle mass is, and then I do 0.5% of that lean muscle mass, and that's actually a really good figure, and that gets me into about 1,500 calories a day, generally speaking about 100 to 100, and I'm not going to pretend to know this off the top of my head. It's about 150 grams of fat to about 80 to 90 grams of protein. So an easy way to do this, folks, is to take a lean piece of meat, maybe like a fillet or a chicken breast, and put a fat on it. So you're controlling your amount of protein and your fat and separate. And then another little tip, especially for me, I do all of my meat shopping at Costco. I know it's not grass-fed and it's not organic or anything, but if you're eating meat, especially a fatty cut of meat, what you want to be conscious of is that the any toxins in meat will be housed at about a rate of 90% in the fat. So if you're ever concerned about, ooh, I really want to eat cleaner, cut that fat off of there and then use it in your bone broth. Where you're going to cook it down and release a lot of those toxins, and then you can skim a lot of the toxins off of your bone broth, because it'll be more, you can see it on your bone broth and you can kind of control it a little bit more. But that's a good way to think about it, and just not overdoing your, like not just eating big slabs of, meat. Now there are carnivores out there fully, and man, I respect the heck out of people that have the courage to only eat, meat like that. I probably would do that if I didn't have a large amount of fat to lose, but adding a bunch of fat to already fatty things is one of the ways that you might kind of torpedo yourself into not losing weight by eating a ribeye every night. You do want to be conscious of the source of your fat. So you want to add fat in the forms of oils. Good oils are going to be olive oil and avocado oil, and that's really all coconut oil. But make sure that it's like clean and organic. Luann's makes an organic coconut oil. Avocados, um, nuts, to some extent. Nuts can be loaded with carbohydrates, so you want to be careful about that. But yeah, so eat lean sources of protein and add fat to it. Have a chicken breast, put avocado on it. If you're going to eat chicken thighs, take that fat off, put avocado on it, drizzle some olive oil, that type of thing. Of course, gra- um, if you're getting grain-fed, all organic chicken breast, by all means, eat that skin. You may want to separate it and weigh it so that you know how much fat that was. Because if you look it up in like your Carb Manager or your Fat Secret or your MyFitnessPal, that's really generic. If you're going to be precise, you probably should consider, weighing and measuring that type of thing a little bit. So, video is coming to be a little bit long at this point. Hope you enjoyed it. Please comment. Tell me how you think this is going. If you'd like more content like this, I'm happy to share it. Like I said, I've been doing keto since before keto was cool, at a doctor's order. So I've really been thrilled over the last 5 or 6 years when keto has really come into popularity, and just a lot of people are having a greater understanding of how healthful this is, from the benefits of better sleep, more clarity, clarity of thought, clearer skin, weight loss, inflammation, losing inflammation, and just a feeling of just euphoria and enhanced energy. It's a wonderful thing. I've always said this and I'll say it again. If we compare fuel sources, sugar is like unleaded gasoline, and ketones, especially BHB, beta hydroxybutyrate, is jet fuel. You are going to feel better. It's not a trick. It's not a gimmick. It's a completely natural way that we can and should live. I really think that a lot of disease, especially diseases like cancer um, and diseases of inflammation like heart disease, could really be cured by eating more saturated fat and not less, by getting more cholesterol in our bodies and not less. Cholesterol, that's a whole nother topic that we can have if you'd like. Please like and subscribe to my videos if you like this kind of content. I love talking about keto. As you can tell, I've already blown through 30 minutes and I didn't even realize it. So I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Share with your friends. If you think that you've got something that you want to share with me, I would love to hear it. I'm here to be made better and to be inspired myself, and I'd love for you to be part of my community. So I'm Heather. This is Fierce Fit Keto. Thanks for joining today. I appreciate you here, and I love y'all. Have a great night. Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye. Rowan says bye, too. Bye.